Hey everybody. Just a minute or two late. Hey, welcome to Swift Contractors Corner. Good to see you guys. Don't know if anyone's here yet. We'll give you a minute to pop in, see what's going on. I see someone's here. Groovy. Not sure who it is, but welcome, welcome, welcome. I see people popping in now. I'm having some minor technical difficulties right now, and trying to get Jeff back in. I don't know what's wrong with our streaming service, but it doesn't want to let people in right now for some reason. So I may or may not get Jeff back in. And if I do, awesome. If I don't, we'll muddle through it somehow, and maybe he can pop in on the stream and chat from that end. Even if we can't get him to yeah. Let's see what happens. So I hope you guys are all safe. Hope everything's going well. You're all making money or doing groovy things. And I can see your name, Reginald. Thank you, buddy. Hey, you can't call me Neathead if I can't see your name, Facebook user. Ha ha ha. Okay, that's just fun. Sorry. But I see you, Reginald. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for clicking the little link. That's awesome. You're on vacation. Okay. Yeah, here we are, guys. We're trying to do this thing and some technical difficulties today. Not sure what's going on with it. Just being a pain in the backside, and yeah, we'll muddle through it somehow, some way. I have to keep checking to see if this darn link is up, and it just isn't working, and I don't know why. But if you guys can see me, that's awesome. I guess we'll get through it that way. And let me shoot Jeff a message here real quick. And yeah, we'll move on from there. So this week's been an interesting week for fuel guys. I can tell you that much. This week, we saw a pretty significant jump. I'm going to throw that up there. It's a 7-cent jump in the national fuel price this week, which is huge. I mean, typically it's, a couple thousands of or hundredths of a penny. And yeah, it was a full 7 cents this week, bringing our average up to 3.477. The cool thing about that, yeah, you guys know, West Coast only went up 0.4, but that's still a pretty good jump. The unfortunate part about that, it closed the gap between the West Coast and the national average. It's now down at like 59 cents difference. So our fuel surcharge for the regular fuel surcharge is 0.359, and our West Coast is down to 0.09, down from 0.10. And yeah, so the West Coast dropped, but the other one went up quite over a full cent, which is a weird jump for us. Again, usually it's hundredths of a penny that we go up. But yeah, so yeah, fuel's doing some crazy stuff, and I know some people are talking that fuel prices are still supposed to rise some more. And so yeah, we'll go from there and see what happens. Oh, hey Ken, what's up, buddy? We're not on YouTube. Says we are. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Should be there. Anyhow, we'll see what happens. Like I said, technical difficulties today. The streaming software is doing something special today. Like Jeff's supposed to be here, and the key that was there that allows him in, it's gone. So yeah, we're just kind of there. He is. He's down in the chat down there. Yeah, Stone Age stuff. I know, man. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't know what the heck's going on. 390 to 415 in PA unless you find Exxon or Rudders or Sheets. It's 375, 360. Yeah, that's brutal. But hey, fuel surcharge. I'm just saying. Almost 36 cents. I dig it. Ohio's at 350 plus. Hey, you guys that say Facebook user like that one and that one. I have no idea which ones you guys are. So do me a favor. Go click on this thing right here. Go here real quick and let it see you, if you don't mind. Otherwise, I'll just keep saying, hey, you Facebook user or something like that. And I'll just assume you're all the same person. But that's cool. It's all good. Let me go back over here. Hey, look. Now I see Ken Kelly. All right. See, yeah, we were 3 minutes late, Ken. We were trying to sort out these technical issues, and yeah, couldn't get it done. First, my internet went to crap right before we started, and then now my restream service is doing. I don't even know what the. Oh, Jeff, it may be back up, buddy. I got a key. That key should be good. If you want to try one more time, man, we'll get you in. Let me resend you the key just in case for some reason it's not actually there. You guys bear with me for just a moment if you don't mind. I'd like to get Jeff in here. He's got some stuff to talk about today. I really want to get that stuff talked about because it's pretty exciting to me. So let's see. Oh, I hear him. I don't have to send him. There he is. There he is. The man, the myth. He's hidden behind my fuel surcharge. There we go. And we have Jeff. But we have no sound, Jeff. Well, that's interesting.
That's not on my end.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hey.
We're better. We're better. I can't even talk. I don't even know why I think I can interwebs today. So, So, yeah, fuel surcharge is up. Prices are up. That was a big jump, man. 7 cents is huge for a single week jump. I can't remember the last time we saw something like that happen. So I dig it. I enjoy it.
2008.
Yeah,
it was
probably
2008.
That's probably about right. Reginald spent about $505 on 130 gallons in Ohio. Holy. Yeah, that sucks, man. I do remember briefly my last $1,000 fill up. That one freaked me out a little bit. But you know what? You know when that was? 08. Up in Washington, yeah, that was brutal, man. Like up around Seattle at that. And I was like, oh my God. Like I had to take a picture of it and I sent it to people I knew. I put it on Facebook. I'm like, look how much I just spent on fuel. Only I think I was a company driver. I was a company driver then. So I was like, oh, look at that. And it just stopped. It like stopped at like $9.99.99. It wouldn't let me go any further.
That was the time when I just hid my fuel costs from my wife.
Right. Yeah. Don't
I
it
I
hurts the hearts.
I focused her on that bottom line, what was going into the bank. Don't worry about what I'm spending on fuel.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Sometimes that's a must, man. Because they get nervous. They're like they don't quite grasp what's going on, and we keep telling them, look, the higher the price goes, the more money we make. But whatever. Trying to explain it to some people is like, I don't even know what. It's just crazy. So
Well,
Jeff, how was your week,
we've
man?
always. You want to just show it?
Yeah,
Just
let's
want
do
to
this.
pop it up there.
This is a neat thing here, guys.
So this is only 2 fill-ups since I got the maintenance done. So Charlie covered up the one I wanted you to see though with that go-to chat
Oh, hang
restream
on.
thing.
Let me get rid of it. Hey, look, quit yelling at me. Gosh, you're so bossy. You're like my wife, man.
Because the 6.41, that's 3 week working in Opelika because I do not fill up in Opelika because the loads are heavy and why bother when you're fueling up at the same exact place every single time and the price is so low. So I went from that 6.41, that's over 3 weeks that I filled it up before I went up to Atlanta to get the maintenance done. And then the next two are just, those are BS numbers. What can I tell you? I was idling the truck for days waiting for appointments.
Literally days.
So, yeah, it was so hot there that the only time I turned the truck off that was when I went in the shower or something. So literally days. That's how you get 3.25 is not actually running and idling the truck.
That looks brutal right there.
So my first fill up though, after getting the maintenance done was 8.13. Then I've got an 8.39, and then I've got a 9.69. Progressively better as I've been using that additive stuff. It's supposed to be cleaning out injectors and EGR and all that stuff is one of the things it's supposed to be doing. So hopefully that's why.
We should say that when you're doing Walmart at the Opelika stuff, you're typically running a little faster, right? You're usually doing what, like 65 there versus your normal 60?
I usually do 65 when I can.
Gotcha.
So it's a little weird though because there's a lot of U.S. highway with no traffic lights or anything. It's like 100 miles, but it's 55 miles an hour. So it's up and down.
Okay.
So they're also heavy. heavier loads than most guys like to take. Frozen and dairy might be 38,000, but a remix, which is the dry van freight, so bottled water, stuff like that, those things are like 45,000 pounds.
Yeah,
So
but
that figures into
38,000 with a
that.
reefer is puts you up in that 75, even better range than that. So I mean, gross weight.
Yeah, just under 75 usually is what
Okay.
it ends up being when I go over the scales. Um, so yeah, they are also heavier, but I'm going to answer Ken on this one because he's asking, "What's your weight?" You know what matters more than weight is terrain and speed. Um,
No
because once
doubt.
you get the truck up to speed, it's not working all that hard unless you're going up a hill. It's getting it up to speed that takes all the fuel.
Right.
Once you're coasting at say 60, you're just kind of bebopping down the road. So my first OTR load was 38,000. And yes, the 9.691 is a little bit of a BS load because I'm hauling Coors cans right now.
Nice.
So it's basically an empty trailer.
I love those
Um,
loads though.
but to give you an idea, though, when I bobtailed home for my family emergency last month that I told you guys about, the 1,500 miles back, 1,800 miles rather back to Utah, my fuel mileage on that bobtail run was um, 9.3. So running a can load, I got 9.69 on 1,000 miles. That fill up was 1,000 miles, almost even
That's
on
just
that one.
awesome.
So yeah, um, I'm pretty happy. I was telling Charlie yesterday because I was bragging pretty hard when I got that last fill up. Uh, Even though it is a lighter load, I have not seen numbers like that in my truck since it was under 100,000 miles. So so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, this is only 3 Phillips. We're gonna have to wait and see over the next couple months what the averages end up being
All
as I
right.
run, because I'm not one of those guys that says no to 45,000-pound loads, man. If that's what I need to do to get out of an area and into an area that I know is better, I will take just about anything as long as the scale's legal. I
Right.
really don't stress over the weight. I would rather take a hit on fuel mileage than sit someplace for 3 days. Absolutely.
Hey, Ken, I can tell you that the first load he ran came out of the Decatur area. Excuse me. Ran up through that I-75, I-24 hill climb corridor out through there, right, Jeff?
Yeah, up to the 70 and over to Aurora,
And that was
and then
38,000 pounds in a dry van. So you were probably
mhm,
65 ish.
yeah.
So there you go. Just to give you an idea, man.
So what's interesting to me though is the bump from that 8.13 to the 8.39 because I was fueling in places because I was shopping for the best price, right? So I fueled a little bit early to get a better price earlier than a lot of guys would. I didn't even get my shower credits on those. So,
Right?
but I'll forgo the shower credit for 8 plus miles per gallon all day long. But
No
the reason I
doubt.
think it's interesting is because the terrain from Decatur to Aurora, you have hills and then you have some flats, but then you get into Colorado and you have more hills and all
Right.
that. It went up, even though I was going uphill. That's
You
why
know,
I'm thinking. That's why my theory is, and don't anybody go out there and say, "Oh, Jeff said you'll gain half a mile per gallon by using max mileage." That's not what I'm saying. My
right.
theory is the way things are looking right now is that whatever it's doing in the combustion chamber and with the injectors and all that stuff, because I've never messed with any of that stuff on my truck, and it is supposed to clean some of that stuff out. So I'm wondering if that difference of point two has something to do with that process that it's going through. They say the guys at Pittsburgh Power that came up with this stuff. Again, it's like anything else. You got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because they're trying to sell you something. But
Right.
one of the sales pitches is that give it 3 tanks, it's going to clean some stuff out, and you'll see your fuel mileage go up.
Right.
Well, I'm at 3 tanks now, and I'm pretty dang happy.
And
Another
and
thing I
that
want
that's
to point
also
out,
following that. I mean, all the work too.
right? That's what I said. I also need to point out that this is also 3 major repairs. between the time that I stopped running Opelika and the time I went back out on the road. I did the alignment, which was so far out it was eating my freaking tires. I
Yeah.
mean, like literally within a week, I went from that's not too bad. I've seen a little rotor wear, but I can run it for another week, to down to the steel belt in a week. That's
Yeah.
how bad the alignment had gotten out. I had the overhead run, which for those of you that don't know what that is, Swift on road doesn't know what that is. The people at the shops don't know what that is yet. Swift, it's a tune-up. It's adjusting your valves, getting them reset to the proper torque rating that they're supposed to be at. So basically, it's a tune-up. And then, of course, the big ticket item was the one box service.
Right.
So between those three, and I could tell you that 6.15, whatever it was, when I made my return trip from Utah to Opelika, that's about what I was at on that return trip too. So I'm thinking this must be a real world gain.
Right.
But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Charlie can tell you that.
So this
I
comment
mean,
that came out
I
that
am the
says
guy
that
that leased 3 trucks.
right. This comment that came out said this kind of stuff works better when you dump it in on a low tank, so it's more saturated. When it runs through the engine, emulsifies a lot better. Actually, with the max mileage stuff, you can't overload it. It must be measured out properly.
Yeah,
It is very specific. In fact, they say that if you have to, you actually go under just a little bit.
right. So like the other day, I filled 60 gallons, and it's 1 ounce per 25 gallons in the tank. So at 60 gallons, you don't put 3 ounces in, you put 2 ounces in. I mean, it's got to be, if you do too much, it's pretty corrosive stuff. So to the point of you kind of have to buy their special little $5 bottle, their
Right.
squeeze bottle, to put it in to measure it out, because everything else it'll eat through normal plastic. It's got to be a specific kind of plastic, or
Yeah.
it'll eat
Yeah.
through the bottle.
That's actually, I
So it's
mean,
it.
that's a real consideration.
hmm So it's got to be diluted properly, otherwise it'll start eating through stuff. So
But I dig it, man.
so
The
yeah,
the numbers are
that
insane.
yeah, it's looking good so far. I mean, at that type of fuel mileage gain, I'm looking at an ROI on the whole project, which return on investment of less than 6 months to recoup that $10,000 that I spent.
And that's a huge, I mean, that's an amazing ROI for 10 grand. I mean, for something that was, and granted, these things were things that, you and I have both put off over the last year just because of things being things. I know I need a overhead to get done soon. I've been putting it off, and not working for the last 2 months has really kind of thrown the kibosh on things. So I'm recouping my losses from the last 2 months, right? And it was totally unexpected not to work
Mm-hmm.
the way that I worked. And I mean, I think I worked 12 days in the last 2 months since August 9th. So take me a couple weeks and I'll get back up, and then I'm gonna have to go get my overhead done, and I got a couple other things I want to get done. I'm gonna have my fuel lines replaced because they've never been replaced, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and get all of my coolant lines that I haven't done recently, the ones that actually broke on me in the last 2 months, and just go ahead and get the rest
Right.
done because you know what, I've had two go. The rest are probably going now too. So those kinds of things, so coolant lines aren't going to save me fuel mileage or anything like that, but they are going to save me downtime if I get them done before they become a problem, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, and that's a
so
consideration. One of the a full 10% of my spending during this project was in hotel rooms.
right.
You know, I started getting depressed at how much money I spent on not the truck.
Right.
Yeah, when you're spending over 10% of what you were spent on the maintenance project total on hotel and food, which, by the way, I learned to love Uber Eats through this thing because I got to eat something other than just pizza.
Right.
But but yeah, it, if I thought it was safe to go home in that truck, which I didn't. Charlie and I talked about it
Right.
because the alignment was so far off, the truck's shaking, and it was getting hard to control. Plus, it's eating tires.
Yeah.
Um, the best thing to do is to do this maintenance while you're at home. And I think all of us have probably run into that. Oh no, just one more week. I can do one more
Right.
week and make that extra 2,000, 3,000, whatever dollars. And then you end
Look,
up breaking down in the field, and you've got to find a shop. You've got to get to a hotel. You got to pay for a hotel.
look, that's exactly
It's
what
just
happened
more
with my
money.
transmission. I was like, well, I'll get it. I got 2 more weeks and I'll get it done. And it was a little sketchy. And yeah, ended up having to do the whole transmission, 2 weeks earlier than I anticipated. Now, luckily for me, I was, running this Target thing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
107 miles from the house and 12 miles from the shop that I was going to have do it. Not a huge deal. I had someone come pick me up from the house, and we were good to go. But I mean, I can't imagine what that would have been like sitting out on in the middle of Wyoming. You know what I mean? That would
Right.
have sucked, because I'm like, oh, let me just put it off another week. And honest to God, it's just, a lot of times it's not worth it. I mean, look, it's like playing that fuel gauge game. You're like, I know I'm down to 100. I burned 150 gallons, but I think I can get just a little bit closer. And sometimes you make it to that fuel pump, and sometimes you're getting towed in. I'm I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But with the mechanical stuff, it really is a lot more important, because like you said, I mean, you were to the point where the tire was completely eaten up. It was getting difficult to control, things like that. So, I mean, and with my transmission, I mean, it could have been horrendous to be stuck out, like I said, in the middle of Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I go there anymore, but you know what I mean. Something
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah. And Sean is completely right. He's got a comment up here, tow bill. I haven't been towed all that many times in my career, but I remember one tow that cost me $900 for a $50 repair at Freightliner.
I can beat you. I think I can beat you. My ECM issue that I had last year that we thought was ECM was $750 for a 12-mile tow. And it turns out
Mm-hmm.
it was an extra fuse that's not on the schematics. It's not on any of the engineered drawings. It was some fuse that somebody at some point before I ever got it added to the system. So it was a 25-cent fuse for a $750 tow.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not worse, but just as bad, I think, at the very least. It sucked. I know
Yeah.
that.
Mine was just a knock sensor, man, on
Oh,
my
and 2
old
days down.
old Kenworth.
Right.
Yeah. Back
2
when the
days
knock
down was
sensor
more
only cost
painful.
$50, by the way,
Right,
they cost a lot
right.
more now. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
no doubt.
So one of the things that too for you guys with the new trucks, because I've been working Opelika most of the year and getting my DEF from them and whatnot, I've noticed something. DEF now costs almost as much as diesel fuel,
Yep.
if you're paying attention. So if you can get it from the terminal, because I think it's still at that $1.25 or $1.30 from them. If anybody knows the actual price and let us know, that'd be great. But it's getting, now that every truck except Charlie's has to have it, they've started bumping that price up because supply and demand, right?
Yep.
Because every truck manufactured after 2012 has to use that stuff. And it started out being who cares? It's like, what was it, $1.99 or something like
Yeah,
that a
they were
gallon
even
back in the
talking
day.
back then. They were saying back then that, "Oh, we're gonna keep the price of DEF down, and that sort of thing. We're gonna keep it even, so it's not a big deal." And then, yeah, that how's that working now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, compared to a truck with just the DPF, having the DEF system, um, you get better fuel mileage with that than you do with the trucks with a DPF. I can tell you that. It's also better for the engine because I don't know if you guys know this or even care, but so in an EGR truck, um, it cycles through the EGR system twice before it hits the exhaust pipe.
Right.
On a DEF truck, it only goes through once. So you're only doing half the damage to the engine through the EGR that you do on the older trucks that don't have the DEF. So I guess that's something. if you want to grasp for something that's positive.
If you happen to
So
have something, that I don't know, made your barometric pressure sensor think that you're over 10,000 feet, that EGR thing doesn't even come into play. I heard something about that somewhere. I don't know. It's something I heard about. But anyhow, my
yeah.
bad. Let's move on. Hey, if you guys have any
So
questions, throw them up, and we'll be glad to answer anything you have. We really didn't have a whole lot this week. I thought that the fuel prices was pretty exciting personally, and I got all excited about that. Um, we were trying to get David Tillman in this week, and decided that we're actually going to record something with him around the 20th of this month, and then we'll be putting that out just after that. We wanted to talk about this personal conveyance stuff and some safety stuff, and I wanted to be able to really devote some real time to it, and that sort of thing. And he's got some time that he's got to take for some personal stuff that he's going to do, and so it worked out that we're going to have him on the 20th. Which is a Wednesday, so we'll actually probably air that the following Tuesday during our live feed, and
yeah,
be able to answer any questions.
we're gonna do sort of more of an interview with him, you
Right.
know, and then I don't know, 60 minutes format or something.
I knew that was coming, Reginald. I was just waiting for that one to pop up.
No
So,
updates.
yeah. Yeah, we reached out to Brett Stewart. I know Jeff sent him a message yesterday or today, trying to
Yesterday,
get
yeah.
some information on what's going on with the load board. We didn't get a response this week, so we really have absolutely nothing we can say about that, just because there is nothing to say about that right now. Um, I know they're what I was told is they're still working on some internal stuff. They had a lot of coding that they had to get done on the back end, which isn't anything that we see on our end at all. So it won't look like anything happened even when they do finish that part of it, because it's all back end coding on getting the automation done. Because the way it was set up right now, it was requiring an owner operator planner to go in there, grab the load from the logistics company, enter the whole thing into the load, and then get it transferred over through EDI, and then out to through the AS400 and all that stuff, and actually get it planned and dispatched and all that wonderful stuff. It was a lot of work for each load to go through. I mean, someone had to touch that load like it was crazy. And yeah, let's see. It's not quite. I take it from reading the driver's blog
We
in the room.
yeah, we have one person that's active in this whole endeavor that's doing that, and the answer to that question is it depends.
Let me get that question out real
From
quick.
what
I take it from reading the driver's blog in the room that Swift isn't factoring percentage pay, rather waiting to pay it out when they bill it. You guys know anything about that? Sorry, Jeff. I didn't. I just want to get that out there in
Okay,
case
yeah.
anyone's listening.
So the answer to that is it depends on whether it's a Swift Night Logistics load or if it's coming from an outside broker, from what Matt's been telling us. But yeah, if we do go to percentage, guys, don't be surprised if it's a net 90. Don't be surprised at all. That's one of the things we've been talking about, and even if they decide to insta pay us, so to speak, we need to get our terms straight. It wouldn't be factoring, because if they factor it, they're going to charge us a percentage of the revenue to factor that.
Which I would
So
be
let's
okay
try
with.
not to. Yeah, I wouldn't, but we that's one of the things Charlie and I go back and forth on is the factoring thing. I will admit that there is a time when maybe you just need the money, so factoring is a good idea. But
Right.
when you figure that what a lot of guys say is, oh, it's only 3%.
Right.
Okay, what's three? Let's say you're doing 3 loads a week. That's 9%. What's that times 52? And figure out what the interest rate is on an annual basis.
Right.
You would never take a loan for that amount.
Right.
But where factoring would come into play is you need your truck fixed and you've got this dude that hasn't paid you yet, and you need that $2,000.
Right.
Okay, I get that. So looking at some other things that Charlie and I are looking at, we may be able to negotiate an instant pay situation based on some other things that we've seen recently. But again, it would be with Swift night loads, not with anything outside that system.
Right.
So if the load board goes the way we want it, right, where okay, here's your Swift loads, but hey, look, there's something out here on truckstop.com. Those truckstop.com loads, you'll probably have a choice between factoring or just waiting the net 90,
Right.
or 15 or whatever it is. The bottom line is, one of the things we're trying to get people to do is run their business, right? And, when I was working for the phone company, um, a multi-billion dollar corporation, working in the office and selling phone service and all that stuff, net 90 was the standard. And you just factor that into your business.
Right.
You know that you might not get paid this $2,000 for 90 days. Well, don't you have $2,000 in your savings account so that you can live until you get paid?
Right. It's all about managing
Um,
that money in your back end.
right. One of the reasons I was able to survive this 2-week ordeal of mine is I saved money. You know, sometimes especially when I had the payment, it really is tough to save enough money to say, "Oh crap, I've got a $10,000 repair.
Right.
What am I going to do?" But I always at least had enough money to put myself in a hotel for a week, and then
Yep.
I can talk to the owner operator division about, okay, what do we do about this? It gives you that little bit of cushion because Charlie will tell you, and everybody out there knows stuff happens.
Oh, no
You
doubt.
know, last year my wife's car broke down 700 miles away from home. I had to buy her a
Yeah,
new
that
car out in
sucks.
frickin' Utah, and that took some of our cushion away. So I just went back to work and started rebuilding that cushion into our bank
Right.
accounts. But that's a concept that you've got to be saving that money. Uh, I mean, even without the load board and net 90 and all that talk, I have gone several months without a positive settlement because of maintenance. Not that often, otherwise I'd be out of business. But you know, you've got to be able to weather that storm. Um,
Right.
and that's my soapbox moment for today, I guess. It's
No, I
just that
dig it.
you got to run your business, man. It's Swift's not Swift Swift. You might be able to negotiate something with Swift, but Swift is not there to help you. We got to
Right.
get away from that. And that's one of the things that did change when Knight took over the company. We used to just kind of Swift will I can run a negative settlement for 3 months. Swift doesn't care.
Right.
Nay, nay, Ether Bunny. Not since Knight took over. They're
Exactly.
they're killing they're killing contracts for that. They're taking trucks back,
That's
which
right.
never happened under Swift when Swift was just Swift. Which and Charlie and I talked about this, and okay, so it allowed us to be lazy for years in our business. But isn't it
Right.
better to learn how to run the business to a level of success to where you don't need them to do
Right.
that for you?
Yeah, it'll make you tighten up for sure. I mean, and actually, start paying attention to what you're doing, what you need to do, your savings, your
Hmm.
finances, calculating your bills for the month and making sure that, hey, I'm paid this month and heck, maybe I'm paid next month already too. So that, should something pop up, oh, look, no big deal, no sweat, just gonna roll with it and see what happens.
Right.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
you guys
just
have any other questions, throw them up. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah. So yeah. Um, uh, One of the things that we do these videos and we have the Contractors Corner Facebook site, and I think it's about time we let you guys know that what our original idea was for this whole thing was to be able to take a guy as a company driver that wants to be an owner operator, hook them up get them to where they could get a truck, whether it's through IAL or outside or whatever they can afford to do, get them in business and
Right.
get them to the point to where they own that truck outright. No business debt at all. And then what's next? I mean, and get to the point to where we've got people that we could talk to that if you want to go get your own authority, we know who to send you to do that.
Right.
So, right now it's all really basic stuff, and we're having a good time with it. But that's kind of the idea. So, as you guys, as members of the Facebook group, especially, you got questions about things like, hey, how do I get my own authority, and is that a good idea? Ask away,
Yeah, no
because
doubt.
Charlie and I, we know people, and we talk to people about that, Is it
And
a good
not
time to
just
do
the
that?
the big fish stories, okay? I want you guys to
Yeah.
understand. We don't deal with people who say, "Oh, well, I made a killing and I did this," and, "Oh, it's so wonderful." We talk to people who have gone out, will show us the real numbers. I mean, they'll sit down and we'll talk numbers with them, you know? You tell me you're making
Hmm.
10 grand a month, okay, show me, on a statement. Show me you're
Right.
making 10 grand a month, and then let's talk about how you got to that point. And that's what Jeff and I have been doing for, I mean, I can say for myself for several years with many people. And it's yeah, it's a trippy thing, to hear the pie in the sky stories. Okay, great. But if you can't show me the real numbers, then I'm not going to
Hmm.
listen to you. And we've seen a lot of guys when the getting was good go out and get their own authority, and they were doing wonderful, and they were slaying it, and they were just killing it, man. And at that point, it was great. And then all of a sudden the market dropped out again like it always will. And I mean it always will. It's inevitable. It's not a
Hmm.
matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it drops out, you need to be able to weather that storm. And what happened with quite a few of the people that we were following at the time, they ended up with multiple trucks and they were killing it. The business was great and the market dropped out and they went out of business, and we quit hearing from these guys. They're like, "Oh crap, I can't afford to stay in business, can't afford the, $20,000 insurance because I live in Florida." And it gets brutal.
Hmm.
And to answer your
Yeah.
question, Sean, no, neither one of us have our own authority. We both have done massive research on it. I think we both have been very, very close to making that jump at different times. And I can say from my point of view that the several times that I've almost pulled that trigger, I'm glad I didn't, because just after I would have pulled the trigger was when those market drops happened, and it would have
Yeah.
been the worst time to start.
Right now, even guys that are on a percentage-based package, they're telling you about this $3 a mile freight, which is true, by the way. They are getting more than $3 a mile gross for their work.
Right,
What they don't tell you about is a couple years ago when that same freight was paying 98 cents.
right.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
Oh god, right
So
back
the
by
way
at the
we're
beginning of the
compensated with,
coronavirus thing,
huh?
man. I was sitting at a Flying J in Alabama, just outside of Birmingham, and I'm pulling my $1.12 a mile target load right up to Memphis, and I had an owner op walk up to me, a guy with his own authority, talking about, "Man, let's just park these trucks. We can't make any money." I said, I don't know what you're talking about, man." I said, "I'm doing just fine. I'm $1.12 a mile plus my fuel surcharge, which wasn't horrible at the time." He said, "Man, I can't find a load that's paying over 89 cents a mile."
Hmm.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So that's part of the calculus when you're talking about. For me, I always say that if I was not in this business, I'd be in another business. I just really enjoy business as a
Right,
whole. Uh, so if I was to go, if you want to up your game and go to your own authority, that sort of thing, you've really got to be just awesome at money management, because that guy at the 89 cents, of course we don't actually know him, so we're not in contact with him, but
right.
I know several people that they'll make a killing during the market like this, and then when it slows down to that under a dollar, they basically just kind of weather it, because it only lasts a couple of years and they've seen it before.
Right.
Those are the guys you really want to talk to and get in their head and find out, how are you doing what you're doing. The
Just
freight's
so you
bad
guys
right now.
know,
You've got a smile on your face. He's
right,
like, well, because when it was $4 a mile, I saved $200,000. That's why.
right.
you know.
But that
But how
89
many
cent
people actually
number,
do that?
check this out. At that 89 cent number, watch this, guys. You guys are gonna love this. Hey, Jeff, how much was your contract rate when you first signed on as an owner operator? What was your mileage rate?
87.
There you go, guys. He made it. He was doing it then.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
and that
if
was
you
with
can manage it,
a 2007 T2000 that was getting, my lifetime mileage over the 4 years on that truck was 7.1.
so he was able to do it
So I
then,
did it with a truck that was not as efficient, and I didn't lose my house. I still would pay with mortgage.
and that was during the
So
2008 fuel madness as well, right?
yes.
See, so just because those rates go down for us here at Swift, while we're contracted to Swift, we kind of had that safety net. Our contract rate is what it is, but 87 cents a mile plus fuel surcharge, right? And he was still able to pay bills and get ahead and keep doing his thing. Whereas this guy that's got his own authority making 89 cents a mile, well, I promise you that his expenses are typically aren't going to be covered by that. If he doesn't have the savings in the bank to cover all of his stuff, he's not going to make it, because 89 cents with your own authority is not going to pay your bills.
Right.
I sat down not too long ago with a guy in Phoenix while Rosie and I were in Phoenix for a while. And this guy had a flatbed, his own authority and all that kind of stuff, owned his trailer, doesn't pull anything for less than 250 a mile. His average was about $3 a mile, but would not pull anything for less than 250. When we sat down and we ran the numbers, I said, "Well, what's your bottom line? What are you actually putting in the bank?" When we sat down and ran the numbers, he was half a cent, a penny more than me that he was actually putting in the bank versus what I was putting in the bank. And he's like, "Wait a minute, you're only making $1.12 a mile?" I said, "Yeah, plus fuel surcharge and accessorial pay stops, things like that." And when it was all said and done, he was only putting in a half cent, maybe a penny more per mile into the bank after all his expenses, because of all those expenses. His insurance was $18,000 a year. Ours is nothing like that. I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, those are things you need to think about if you're going to step out on your own. If it's something you want to do, by all means, man, reach out to us. We can give you some good guidance there. We're not opposed to it. I'm telling you, we're not against it. This is a great place to learn to run your business. I mean, let's be honest, because we have so many safety nets in place. We have these contract rates that are just phenomenal when you think about the overall industry. Okay, I know a lot of people think, oh, Swift doesn't pay crap and all that. We're actually really competitive when you look at the let's say 65% of what the spot market is doing. We're about a quarter below. Well, I can say that with me running the target stuff, I'm about a quarter below what I would be paid if I was getting 65% of the spot market average, which is 284 this week, I believe it was, maybe 286. And calculating that 65%, when you factor in my accessorial pay and that sort of thing, I'm only about a quarter below that. Now, granted, a quarter a mile is a lot, don't get me wrong, but our rates don't fluctuate. So when the market does drop out
Right.
and those rates are down to $1.50, you know what? We're still doing it. We're going to be doing a lot better at that point. So it's just a matter of learning how to
Yeah. You
manage
wanna
this.
you wanna throw up Ken Kelly's comment there about his article he posted yesterday? Yeah. After reading the article on used trucks prices I posted yesterday, it's a rough time to get started as an owner op. And if you guys haven't seen that article yet, you really need to read it.
No doubt.
This would be part of your business education. There's a lot in there, not just the price of trucks. About what's going on in our industry, what's affecting
Right.
rates, the truck prices. So I was just talking to a guy earlier today that's coming back to Swift. He worked for Swift for 2 years and then went back to being a tile guy because he makes more money doing that, obviously, because tile guys get paid bank. But
Good
his
work.
body's giving out on him. He's 51 years old, so he's like, I'm going to go back and drive truck again because it'll pay the bills and whatnot. But he wants to be an owner operator. He was asking me about the different lease options. So if you lease an MRP truck right now, by the time you're done paying that truck off in 3 years, you spent $30,000 less than you could buy it at Aero Truck Sale.
Yep.
Think about that, because according to that article that Ken posted, used trucks that are 3 years old, which is the MRP trucks, are going for $90,000 now. That's what I think it said, a 45% increase from July of 2021 or 2020. And
Yeah, that's just crazy.
so that program is looking better and better to me. You can get the same truck that you get at Aero Truck Sales for a $30,000 discount because of Swift's little contract deal they have.
Right.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah, no doubt.
that changes the calculation a little bit. That's why you read articles like this so you can stay abreast of what's going on in the market. Maybe you were
Knowledge is
thinking,
power.
I'm going to go get that Volvo from the truck dealership. Okay, well, that would have been a good idea 12 months ago. Right
Right.
now, you got to rethink that because the prices have gone way up. I mean, they were so low 2 years ago. Charlie and I were thinking about just buying a few.
Yep. And like legit, we were talking about buying, a couple of trucks and taking guys and teaching them how to run the business and all that. And it probably would have been a great time to do it. And then for whatever reason, we decided not to. And man, it would have been a good time to sell those trucks right now. I can tell you that.
Well, there's been buzz on the Swift drivers page that Penske is so low on trucks that they're leasing trucks from us.
Yep.
And
That's
you
a
were saying
real
that that's
deal.
legit.
Yep.
So
Penske, and I believe there was actually another company that was pulling a couple of our trucks. I had to confirm. In fact, some of our Target trucks up here in Lake City, Ida confirmed that. Yep, they pulled some of their trucks as well that were sitting around doing nothing. So they pulled those, and Penske's pulling those now. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a trip.
So this
That market is nuts right now.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if this has ever happened before. I've only been in the business 15 years, so it could have happened before I came in, but I have not seen that type of thing. This supply chain problem is really becoming a problem. We
Right.
got guys that I've been talking to around the country that they're waiting for sensors for their truck, NOx sensor. I think the worst one to get right now is the DEF quality sensor is going
Yep.
out on these trucks,
At least
and
3 weeks in a lot of
it's a
places.
3 week wait to get one if they get them at all.
Crazy.
So it's legit. This thing you're seeing in the news is legit. So it's another reason to try and do your maintenance at home, because if you need one of those parts, it's a whole lot better to kiss the dog and pet the wife than it is to sit in a hotel watching Cartoon Network for 2 weeks.
Right.
Not that that's what I did.
Well, that's interesting. Sorry, I got distracted by a squirrel here. Someone just tried to access my Facebook account from a Samsung Galaxy S.
12 to
Yeah.
14 week wait on a DEF quality sensor, according to Matthew Nimke.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I looked out on that because when I had my one box refurbished, they had to replace every single sensor around that thing, and I'm glad that they had a replacement for that one. Otherwise, I would have had no choice. I would have had to just fly home because I can't afford to stay in a hotel for 12
Right?
weeks.
Could you? Oh my God! I just can't even think of
I mean,
that.
come to think of it, I've never done the rental truck program, so maybe that would have forced me to finally try that out.
No doubt.
So, all right. So, we have any other questions or anything? Ken Kelly came
Honestly,
up with another one that Summer's been prepping trucks for Penske for the last 3 months. So
yeah. So it's been a long time coming deal. So that's right. It's actually kind of interesting, and I'm willing to bet that I'm sure it's lucrative. So
well, and I'll maintain, we're running our own business, and Swift is our customer, and what's good for Swift is good for us. If they're able to take equipment that's idle because of the inability to get guys to go to work right now, which according to all the news outlets, that's what's going on. People are just not going back to work for whatever reason, and they can make money on those trucks to stay solvent. That's good for
right.
us too.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, that's guys, that's where our 3 cent raise came from, is their ability to do business. So Matthew Nimke, I've been fielding that question on the group a little bit, and I gotta tell you, I'm a little baffled by that myself. And the reason is because I'm not experiencing that. Um, it in my operations no more than it always has been. But I'll tell you, there's a pretty good thread. I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but if you run into that type of situation where you're in, I think the market that was being discussed heavily yesterday was the Atlanta market, and there's nothing within 200 miles, which I had just picked up a load in Decatur, so I knew that wasn't true.
Right.
But anyway, not to stoke the fire or anything, but who got me my load was Omar, the owner
East
operator
Coast owner
planner in
operator
Atlanta.
planner.
Yeah, it was Omar. And you know what's crazy about that is I wasn't even talking to Omar. I was talking to Tisha because we were just talking back and forth about my maintenance thing, and she's like, "Well, what do you want to do next?" I'm like, "Oh, I need to head west." She's like, "Let me see what I can do." And before I know it, Omar has me a load going to Aurora, Colorado.
Perfect.
You know, and it was just that contact with these people. You know, there's three of them. There's Omar for the east, there's Coretta for the central, and for the next couple of weeks at least, there's Tisha in the west. Tisha is moving on to a different position, so I don't know who's going to take her place, but that position will be filled, so there'll be another West Coast person.
But just so we're clear for anyone who's not watching and just listening, the question that Jeff was addressing was, "What's with all the deadhead miles here recently?" Sorry, guys.
Mm, yeah. So it's important that we keep our deadhead down with the contract we have. So, be proactive. Call these guys. If they don't
Right.
answer the phone, leave a message.
No doubt.
Um, Charlie and I will see what we could do about getting some driver codes for these guys. They're not drivers, but you know what I mean.
Right. They're
Employee
qualified code.
codes, so that you can direct message them. Because when you do a macro 10, it doesn't go to them. It goes, or whatever it is, the planner one. It
Right.
goes to whatever planner's on duty, and it might not be one of the owner op planners. And the owner op planners are tasked with specifically helping us as owner
Right.
operators. The other thing I will say is when you do contact these people, don't just say, "Hey, I need a load."
Yeah. Have
Um,
something in mind.
right. Have a plan, because what they're going to do is they're going to ask you where you want to go. What is your agenda for the week? Things like that. And you need to be able to express that to them in such a way they can say, "Okay, well, here's what I'm seeing right now. And it's not looking like I'm seeing anything that it might be I'm not seeing anything that meets your criteria, but give me a few minutes." And sometimes it's a couple hours. But I've had Coretta actually used to be the West Coast person for a long time, and it sometimes would take her a couple hours, but she would literally find me a load, even if she had to go out to a broker to get it. That would have me going like from LA to Portland so I could go home. She would find me a load. So
Right.
so yeah, it's it, you got to build that relationship.
Ken Kelly said, "I
I
have
have
a
a
very
very
old
old.
contract." Oh, my bad. My pay is the same loaded or empty. I just don't get fuel surcharge on empty miles. And I've told you before, Ken, don't get rid of that contract, man, because he actually has a higher fuel surcharge than we do as well. And his
Hmm.
Oregon road tax is paid. And yeah, that never is. If you're going to keep running out there, never get rid of that contract. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that Oregon mileage tax is one of the reasons why I left Oregon. It's that big of a deal if you have to pay that.
Right.
It's insane, and it's supposed to go up again next year. The governor just said that it's going to go up to 29 cents a mile. So I just it got to a point to where I couldn't afford to run in my home state, man.
Right.
So every time I go home, I get hit with a bunch of taxes. But yeah, I forgot about that. That he had that deal where they paid his Oregon tax. That's awesome. I know that
Yeah.
the Grandview, Washington, Walmart used to do that too.
Right.
Almost made it worth it to contract with them.
Yeah. Almost.
Almost.
Well, hey guys, if you guys don't have anything else, we're coming up here 55 minutes. If you guys don't have anything else, we're gonna pop out of here and wrap this up. And if any of you watch on Facebook haven't already done so, do us a favor, pop over to subscribe on YouTube. Uh, do the thumbs up thing if you could. I know it's you guys like watching on Facebook. I get it, but help us out over on YouTube, guys. We're trying to be able to reach more people, and the analytics stuff over there helps out. Yeah, we lost Grandview
A
a
while
while
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, guys, we appreciate you coming out, and I think it's awesome that you guys come out here and hang out with us every week. It really does mean a lot to us, for you to take time out of your day and spend it with us. This hour or so, and gosh, I honestly, I truly appreciate it, and I know Jeff does too. And we're gonna keep trying to put this stuff out. Um, Yeah, I was thinking, Ken. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Ken was saying
Squirrel.
thanks. The net 90 discussion was a good one. Keep us posted on your miles per gallon, Jeff. I actually want to get. I think I'm going to try and get a hold of Matt, and maybe we'll get him in here next week or something like that if I can swing it. Be a weird thing just to have Matt's face up here, but it'll be fun, and we can get his. Maybe we can get him in here and see how he's doing. Talk a little deeper about his stuff and all that kind of thing. But if
Yep.
you're good, Jeff, you got anything else you want to throw out there?
Nope. We'll keep you posted on everything that's going on. My next project is going to be finally building my full-blown mobile kitchen in the truck.
Yes.
So if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, you let me know and I'll post about it. Otherwise, it's just kind of a thing that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, he just ordered this crazy ass freezer too, and he's getting ready. Oh, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's OD green. That's the important thing.
That's right. All right, guys, we want to thank you again for being here and spending your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time here on Swift Contractors Corner. You guys be safe out there.